The landlord of a neighboring public house, after visiting the house, reported seeing a white-figured ghost ascending the stairs to the house. Frightened, he returned home, and Parsons later visited him, claiming to have seen a ghost also. With weeks away of Franny giving birth, Kent made arrangements to move to a property at Bartlett Court in Clerkenwell. By January, the property wasn't ready, so they moved to an inconvenient apartment nearby, intending only to stay for a short while, but by the end of January Franny fell ill. The attending doctor diagnosed the illness as early stages of an erupted fever, and agreeing with Kent that their lodgings were inadequate for someone in so critical a stage of pregnancy. Franny was thereby moved by coach to Bartlett Court. The next day, Franny's doctor returned and met with her apothecary. Both agreed that Franny's symptoms were indicative of smallpox. On hearing this, Franny called for an attorney, making sure that her will was in order, and that Kent would inherit her estate. An acquaintance of Kent's, Steve Aldridge, rector of St. John's, Clerkenwell, reassured her that she would be forgiven for her sins, and she died in February.
Fearful of buying a coffin for Franny, out of fear of prosecution, if the true nature of their relation became known, Kent asked that the purchase be made nameless. On registering the burial, though, he was forced to give a name, and gave her name. Franny's family was notified, and her sister and Linz, who lived nearby, attended the funeral at St. John's. When Anne found out that in Franny's will, she and her family would only receive a crown each, and Kent would receive the rest, including Franny's share of their dead brother's estate, and attempted to block Franny's will in Doctors' Commons, and failed. Because of the dispute, though, legal problems over land owned by Franny's deceased brother occurred. Following Franny's death, and Kent's successful legal action against Parson over an outstanding debt, the hauntings resumed at Cock Lane. Parsons claimed that Franny's ghost haunted his property, and later, his daughter. Regular seances were held, and a ghost would appear claiming that Franny had been poisoned with arsenic, and Kent was publicly suspected of being her murderer. Because of the dispute with Franny's family, and her deceased brother's property, each of her brother's beneficiaries had to pay compensation to the purchaser. Kent refused to pay, claiming that he had already spent the money, paying off Franny's debts. In October, John Linz began legal proceedings against Kent in the Court of Chancery. Meanwhile, Kent became a stockbroker, and remarried.